The Federal Reserve this week basically announced quantitative easing to infinity. But my next guest says this is not an example of capitalism. It's corrupt capitalism. He is the best-selling author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and his latest, Who Stole My Pension? How to Stop the Looting. Robert Kiyosaki, what an honor to have you back on the show at such a pivotal time. Nice to see you.
Well, no, I always gush love and admiration for you and Kitco because you guys have been, I don't know if it's telling the truth, but you're not lying to people. That's another way of saying it. You've been keeping people aware. So I thank you and Kitco, what you do.
We're trying to keep people woke here, Robert. That's right. And, it's thanks to having guests like you on. And I was excited to get your thoughts. I've been following all your Twitter action all week. You've been very vocal and very upset about what the Fed's been doing here. Let's talk about, what you've dubbed here as corrupt capitalism.
Well, it's I don't doubt the pandemic is real. I don't doubt that coronavirus is real. I don't doubt it's dangerous. I'm probably a target market for the coronavirus, simply because I've had pneumonia 3 times. I had malaria. I had a diving accident where I blew my lungs out. I embolized. So wow. I am a candidate. So I'm just as concerned about the coronavirus, but I think it's a sleight of hand. It's called, in that book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, Edward Griffin wrote about the mandrake mechanism, where mandrake's the magician. And so what the magician does, he has everybody so afraid of this thing called a virus, which I say is real, as they steal your money and they steal your wealth. And I've been, Chicken Little, as you know, for years and years and years, advising people not to save money, but to save gold and silver, what I call God's money. And I've been Chicken Little for so long, I'm actually quite happy the virus is here because people are saying, I should have listened to you. And I said, yeah, you should have.
Well, we're gonna talk about gold in a second and what you're doing to protect yourself here, Robert. I know last time you said you were buying silver. Aren't you happy you bought it back then? Because now people can't find it.
Isn't that part of the fake? My book was also Fake Money before Who Stole My Pension. And before that was Conspiracy of the Rich. And before that was Prophecy, predicting the financial crash that came in 2016. But it didn't come till 2020. So I was off by 4 years. Yeah. But anyway, my concern is that there's the gold market's manipulated also. As you know, there's 3 markets. And then there's the futures, there's the paper, GLD and SLV, and then there's physical. So the price on the futures doesn't match the physical. Now, there isn't a wake-up call saying, well, who's messing with my gold and silver? So that's what I'm saying to people. It's all manipulated, so you've got to watch Kitco and listen to your speech.
We actually, broke that story this morning, because I'm looking at the futures, I'm looking at the spot. Right before noon, there was a $45 discrepancy. I'm thinking, well, what's the real price here? And, we saw what happened to silver last week. So on one hand, there's this huge silver shortage, but, silver's having a good day today, but last week it got, was plummeted. So, where's that disconnect happening?
Well, as I wrote about my book, Fake, you have fake money, you have fake school teachers. They don't teach you anything about money. And you have fake assets. The biggest fake is the stock market. I mean, how can it go up 1,500 points in 5 seconds and then come down 1,000 points in 5 seconds? If that's not manipulation, wake up and smell the coffee. But as you and I know, which Kitco reports on, the real problem is in the repo market and the commercial paper market. That's where the real theft is taking place right now. And the average person is watching the stock market. And my friends call up and they said, you know what? I should have bought some gold and silver. Well, it's kind of nice to be Chicken Little and be validated finally. But these guys now can't find any gold and silver. So I pray for them tonight.
You also tweeted, Robert, that, the moves that we're seeing in gold today, at one point we were up $100, just shows, unfortunately, lack of confidence in leaders, in political leaders.
Well, people are finally waking up that you cannot trust our own government. I was a Marine pilot in Vietnam, and that's where I had my wake-up call in 72. I said, "¿Qué pasa? Why am I out here shooting innocent people? And who am I shooting them for? It's just like weapons of mass destruction. Where are they?" If people I agree with are like Gerald Celente, man, he says it better than I do, and Jim Rickards. By the way, Jim and I are writing a book together called The Ravens. It's How Do You See the Future? But these guys have been saying it for years. And Danielle, the good thing is, I think people, as they sit in quarantine, as they lose their jobs or homes or pensions, their businesses and all this, I think they're waking up that they're being screwed. They've been screwed. I think that's the message, Danielle, is the American public is finally waking up. It's not capitalism, it's corrupt capitalism or criminal capitalism. And all of these stimulus packages, as Rickard says, they're not stimulus. They're just destroying everybody's economy. It's socialism for the rich as the poor and middle class lose their jobs and businesses and their savings and their pensions. This is criminal, what's happening. Now, that's the reason I write and I get so vehement about it, is that it's criminal what we're doing to our own people. It's criminal capitalism, not capitalism. So that's why I get so upset. There's no financial education in our schools. What does school teach you about money? The answer is nothing. If I was a school teacher, I'd be telling kids to buy silver. It's $20. Buy it.
You'd be the coolest school teacher around, Robert. When and you've been on a long time, as you mentioned, predicting and forecasting that, the ultimate crash was coming. When you foresaw this in 2002, could you have ever imagined it to be this bad, though, a situation of this magnitude? Because I still can't fathom what's happening.
Well, I agree wholeheartedly with you, Danielle. I knew it was coming, but I couldn't believe they'd actually quarantine people, take their jobs away. This is martial law. This is a manufactured Great Depression when there was real unemployment. Now they have to manufacture unemployment. It's more frightening than I ever imagined. It's more dastardly, it's more deceptive, it's more criminal than I ever imagined. Not that I'm afraid, but I feel for the people who are duped, the people who really think it's about the virus, not the biggest cash heist going on behind their backs in the repo market, the commercial paper market, and the credit markets. They just can't see their money is being stolen via their money.
So for the people who didn't get into gold and silver yet and are looking at these prices, and every day you wake up and we're up tremendously, we're down tremendously, what would you advise to do here? Should you wait till things even out a bit? Would you be buying here?
I agree with Jim Rickards. He's a brilliant man. What he says is I agree with. It's not the price of gold. It's the number of ounces of gold and silver do you have. So I don't measure my wealth in dollars or my gold and silver. I have thousands of ounces. I don't even know how much I have. But I just keep acquiring it because, just as Jim says, is when you need it, you won't be able to buy it. And he says exactly as I say. The floating gold and silver supply is gone. People are hiding gold and silver like they hide toilet paper and guns right now. The problem is the poor and the middle class still have not got the message that gold and silver are God's money. Gold and silver have been here since the earth was formed. Your only counterparty is God, not the bank.
Robert, you also tweeted about something I wanted to learn more about, a proposal for a U.S. crypto dollar. Can you tell us more about what you know about this?
Well, all I know is what I saw. Chris Fox puts up Nancy Pelosi's picture. But all it means to me is they go to crypto. It means the Federal Reserve Bank is sick and tired of Bitcoin taking their power away from them. So when it goes to crypto, it means more control over our lives via our money, but also less freedom. So it's as Jim Rickard says, they're taking away our freedoms one step at a time. So they want to track, they don't like cash and they don't like gold because they can't control it. There's no serial numbers they can follow, but they can follow you and track your movements. Not that I'm a criminal, but they want to follow our movements and take our freedoms away by registering every crypto dollar, whatever they call it, and the central banks then control it. Remember this, the central banks, as many of your people, your contributors to Kitco say, is a criminal operation. They've been stealing our wealth for years. That's my concern. And everybody thinks they're wonderful people. The theft has been going on for years.
When does this get better?
Well,
how long is this road?
I think it's pretty good right now for me personally, but I was prepared for it. My concern, again, as we all know, is civil unrest. And I was at the gun shop yesterday, and people think I'm anti-guns. I'm a Marine. I got enough ammunition to stockpile Cuba, and I carry Class 3 weapons and full autos. You don't go to a gunfight with a Glock when you can carry a full auto. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. Being a Marine, I'm a pretty sick individual. But I think that's what's going to happen. Unfortunately, there's probably a 20% chance we're going to civil unrest, and that's why the National Guard is already out now, pretending to guard the toilet paper supplies.
It's very frightening times, Robert. And you mentioned Jim. We spoke to him last week. I know he's growing all his own veggies and fruits, so he's doing well wherever he is. How are you doing?
I mean, I'm doing my best to stay isolated, but I'm not stopping. I'm not. It's not that I'm not afraid; is that I'm prepared. I kind of have the Dirty Harry approach. Make my day. You come after me, I'm going to come after you. And that's what I wrote about. And by the way, the Twitter was taken down because I posted the real facts on coronavirus, the flu, diabetes, gunshots, and stuff like this. It's a ruse. I mean, I don't doubt it's real, but it's blown out of proportion by the media. It's a fake. It's a deception to steal our money. So that's all I'm saying. And so am I afraid? I'm afraid of my next door neighbor. That's who I'm afraid of. If they don't have any money or they can't feed their kids, desperate people do desperate things. So I think you have to be prepared mentally. And just because you buy a Glock and you go and you shoot paper targets doesn't mean you're tactically ready for combat. There's a difference between shooting a paper target and going door to door.
Robert Kiyosaki, always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much. And thank you for watching this edition of Kitco News. We'll have much more for you, so be sure to stay tuned.